Is crunch time for the bulls. What we have is us sitting just above the $27,000 support. And as you can see here, we've been battling here over the last few weeks. And now we're just hovering and making our way down to these areas. Now we have CPI. We have a lot happening this week that's going to start to bring volatility. And what I've shown on the tile is there is a possibility that Bitcoin can lose the support. And I'm going to be showing both scenarios of where we could possibly break to the upside, but versus what's the downside and what can really happen if we do decide to lose these current shorts over here, these current supports over here. Because what you have below that is you have the next support here, but I think they're actually going to send it slightly lower, and I think it might be quick because there are a lot of people sitting at the $25,000 level that all missed the pump, that are waiting for the 200 weekly area to be loading up. And for me, I know that there's lots of longs there and there could be a lot of liquidation slightly below. But the main thing I want to speak about today, guys, is yet again, I see an incredibly large opportunity for you to restructure your portfolio. And what I put on the tile is if this play plays out, the one that I'm going to be speaking about now on the show, there's an opportunity to make 20 to 25% more Bitcoin, up to 30% on Ethereum, and maybe more. And then there's even opportunity of 50% within altcoins. Now, I want to show you how that makes you so much more money when it comes to the actual bull market. So the first thing that I want to show you is I want to show you where we're basically sitting at when it comes to Bitcoin and understanding what could possibly come next when it comes to the emotion cycle. So what you want to have a look over here is you can see that, yes, we've had this long sort of bear market rally. And the question is this the start to bull market? Are we getting to the point of disbelief? All these sort of things, pretty much similar areas of where we came past the COVID crash and we started to make up disbelief, and we started to shoot through. That's the one scenario, because if I bring this up over here, where are we? Now, guys, we don't have to always play this perfectly. But what we do need to understand is the emotion cycle needs to play out. It's always going to need to. Someone needs to lose money for someone to win. And for that, we have to go through the emotion cycle. When depression comes, you have the smart buyers buying up all the fear. Why? Because they won't sell their coins in a bull market. Did anyone want to sell 𝗕𝗚𝗃? No one wanted to sell 𝗕𝗚𝗃. It's going to the moon. Does people want to sell 𝗕𝗚𝗃 now? Maybe. And who wants to buy it? And that's the big thing. So what we want to know is, are we here in disbelief, hope, or are we still going into depression? And we have to prepare on that. We've said sell in May is still a big thing. And, for the last how many Mays? Forever. for a very long time, May has always been a bad month. But what we're trying to see now is this area over here. Is it the area where possible depression is coming? And we need to prepare for that in case that does basically happen. So we do have the one scenario of possibly having hope and having this restart of the market. I do still believe the bull market has begun. I'm not changing that. But what we got to see is there going to be a little bit of a depression phase? We've had a meme coin run, which wasn't good for the market. Yes, it was fun and it was nice to make some money, but it wasn't good for the market to be coming in and having useless projects bring in so much money. And now, yet again, all being flushed out. And that's why we're starting to see the whole market is definitely starting to get to that worrying phase. Okay, so what we're trying to see here is this depression over here still to play out, and how are we going to use this to our advantage? So the first thing that I want to show you guys is let's quickly jump into Bitcoin before I go into the strategies. Remember, I'm in teaching mode at the moment, and I want to teach you guys what we're doing. But what we basically have on Bitcoin is we do have it sitting on the support. And once we start to lose that possible support, which is the 27 or the 26,700, we have a huge gap to the 25. And then what we have is the other scenario, where we basically have the major bull trend line. So if I show you over here, this is the play that I think might possibly be playing out now on Bitcoin. And this next bounce gives you the opportunity. If we don't do what we need to do for the bulls on the next bounce, we can definitely have this big play out. And I'll probably say in the next 72 hours is when we're going to actually see this start to play out. So what we have right now is we do have this trend line that we're currently holding. We aren't support right now. And I do think when it comes to RSIs and that now, we're getting to a point where we're going to have a possible bullish push to the upside. Possible, okay? If we lose this trend at any moment, the acceleration starts. Now, if Bitcoin does not get back above the 28,500, the 29,000, you could see we've lost this current 4-hour trend over here. So what I'm seeing here is a retest. And after that, I'm seeing us lose the lows, retest that, and then a huge acceleration to the downside, which you can see over here. And what that could basically mean is if you have a look over here, we have the major support trend line, the bullish line, right? That I said, as long as we're above this line, we remain bullish. And we have the 200 weekly moving average sitting at the 25K. But what I'm saying is a lot of people are waiting for 25,000. When I look at the other indicators, as in the trend line, and I'm looking at the 618, they're all showing lower. They're showing 22,000, 23,000. And that's where I'm probably thinking it's going to wick to. Now, I do think the weekly close can still be above the $25,000 level, but this is where I think they trick all the people that buy at the 25K and a lot of liquidations. I'm sure a lot of people are going to leverage longs when Bitcoin goes to those areas, if it goes to those areas. And then it's the very scary part. The very scary part is maybe we lose the bull trend. And, for me, whenever a line is broken on the chart, I can't emotionally be attached and sit here and say, no, it's not. No, it's not. If we come down here and we start to lose, a depression phase says we go back to the lower range. Doesn't mean a new lower low, but it means if we do play it as the Wall Street cheat sheet, $18,000, $19,000 Bitcoin, maybe. And we don't know. The world's not in the best place right now. But what it's showing us is a big opportunity. Now, what that basically means is you have two ways. I explained to you yesterday. What did I explain to you yesterday? I said that your entry price means everything. Because if you have a terrible entry price, you're going to wait half of the bull market that comes, and you're only going to be broken even by the time it gets to your entry price. And that means you bought the top, or you got a really terrible entry. And what I was trying to say is, if you have 20 shitty entries, remove half of them and get 10 really good ones. Okay, so remove the crap entries and rather have less quantity and better quality trades when that actually comes. Because what does that mean to the upside? It means that if you bought up here and you can get your entry down here, by the time it gets out of this little phase at the bottom, which it's going to happen, guys. Yes, we're in a depression phase, possibly, or we're in this down accumulating phase. It will end. It's going to end at some point, and the bullish market will come back. It always does. That's a part of the game. But when that happens, you want your entries at the bottom. And what I did yesterday is I explained to you guys. I say, whatever money you put in at the top, if you put in $1,000 at the top, if you're only putting $200 now, 20% of the money, you bring your entry from here all the way down here. If you decide to put $400, your entry goes all the way here. If you put the same amount of money you put in at the top right now, look where your entry is right now. You'll be sitting at literally a $25 AVAX. What does that mean for the future? It means if AVAX goes anywhere near back to $100, you actually 4x up. Now, I want to show you a different strategy for those who don't have money. It means you have to work slightly different. Now, how do you get an average price on a token? Okay, it's basically the amount of money you put in and the amount of tokens. You divide it and it gives you your average price. Now, some people don't have more money to put in the game. Now, this is where you got to focus on the quantity amount of your tokens, because that's what's going to give you your average price. So, for example, if you put in $1,000 into Solana, okay, and let's actually bring up the example over here. There we go. If you put in $1,000 into Solana, so let's go back to the higher time frames. There we go. If you put $1,000 into Solana at $120, right, it would have given you 8.3 Solana. That's how much Solana you'd be sitting at. Now, what I'm seeing is Solana's lost the daily trend, guys. And what it basically means is if we don't get a higher high on this next push up, we can have Solana go back to the lows. Now, where are the two major support areas? We have the first support area at $14. The second, we have all the way at $8 again. We're sitting at 20 now. So what does that mean? You have an opportunity possibly of Solana getting cheaper by by 40%, if not by 60%. Okay, so if you got some money on the side, I think it's absolutely incredible to get those areas to be loading up for the longer term sort of view. It goes anywhere back to $100, you're making a lot of money. It's 5x from here. Okay, but what it means is if you're sitting with Solana because you bought the top, right? You're sitting with 8 Solana and it goes up here. And I'm going to explain to you the strategy now. And it breaks the trend and it goes to the downside. And you manage to get out of your Solana, not worrying about the dollar amount. I need you to, in the bear market now, I need you to stop caring about the dollar. It's about the amount of tokens. And you get out in this area over here and it goes down. You're able to accumulate 40% to 60% more Solana. What does that mean for you? So if you bought $1,000 at price, 8.3 SOL. Now you sell into dollars, and SOL goes to $14, and you make 40%, which is another 3.4 Solana. Now all of a sudden you're sitting with 11.62 Solana. Okay. Now I want to remind you again. I want to take you back over here. What is depression? Depression is a range. Craig, how long was the last depression? Up to a year. Up to a year. And what was it? Slow up, big down, slow up, slow. It was a range, right? And basically, you know, it doesn't look like a lot on the weekly chart, but basically it's something like this, right? That's what it is. All that I see when I see that is I see 20%, 30% on Solana, 20, 30%, and it basically becomes this range, okay? And the range where you can basically farm and accumulate and these sort of things, because it comes down to the total amount. So now we know that this is a possibility, which means we might range for a while. So now the perfect thing to do is to start. Now, if you go back over here, if you sell out into dollars here, but you know it's going to come down, and I'm going to teach you how to put a stop loss, a buy-in stop loss, in case the market turns bullish. So get your Solana back. That's the big thing. Okay. What previously? Previously, you go into dollars and that's it. I'm going to show you that you can go into dollars. That's fine. I hate dollars, but you can go into dollars and you can put a stop loss. Amazing. But it's to make more of the token. Then it's fine, because it makes sense for you to understand to get in and out of the token and not trade to Bitcoin, not trade to Ethereum. But if you have a look over here, if we did that and it goes down there and we buy back, all of a sudden, we got 11.62 Solana. And if I take my same $1,000, I never added any more money in, and I divided by the 11.62. Now, all of a sudden, my entry price is 86. So what I did by this little move over here is I moved my entry price from 120 all the way to 86. Okay. If the second scenario plays out, because we're going to have a trend line. I'm going to show you guys. We're going to have a trend that's going to track, because who knows? And I'm not here to be a pooper. I still believe it's alt time. I still believe it's these sort of things. Maybe Bitcoin loses 20K. You never know. If that happens, Sol maybe loses 8 and goes to $5. If that happens, like, you understand the building of it. But if that happens, you know, you basically have the opportunity to bring your entry price down from 120 all the way to 86. If it goes slightly more, you can bring it down to 70. Now, let's say we go into depression, and depression does this for a little while. In these times over here, if you can accumulate 20 to 30% more Solana, you can get this to the areas of 20, 30 Solana, yet you haven't put any more money in. What does that do for your entry? Every time you accumulate more Solana without putting more money into it, you're bringing your entry price down. So your ultimate goal is you look at this now and you're like, okay, we could go into depression, and depression just means a range. It doesn't mean new lows. It just means very rangy to the downside, not much growth, shoots down pretty quickly. And it's just this period of a few weeks of this ranginess, which you can use, which is really nice, because you only have to trade daily charts. You don't have to trade 4 hours. You don't have to trade 1 hour. You can trade high time frames and be accurate when it comes to the actual farming. And in that time, you're able to get your entry price down. Now, I want to remind you again, if we jump to the weekly, let's quickly clean up over here. If we jump to the weekly charts, and I want to go back to Solana, for example, let's paint the roadmap, okay? This got hit really hard. It got hit because of FTX. It got hit between all these sort of things. But let's paint the roadmap on Solana. Let's go take the major ranges. Let's put that one in over there and make it nice and white so you can see it. Let's paint where this thing can go in the future. Amazing. You got that range over there. You got these areas over here, which is 130. And then you have the 200. I can't believe Solana was nearly $280. $280, crazy. The 10x just back to the top. There's the possibilities of where Solana goes in the future. Now, same thing again. I bought Solana at $100. Okay, amazing. So it means you got to wait for $100 to be at broken even. Now, if you're able in the time, and that's what I'm speaking about today, and I'm going to go through the charts now in Bitcoin and explain where I'm thinking these coins are going, you're able to bring this entry price down, which means by the time, ultimately, you want to try get your entries to at least $30. Because by the time that this can break through that again, you're already in profit, guys. And it starts to make its way up over here. All of a sudden, your huge ass loss that was down 80%, all of a sudden, you make your way up to 300, 400, 500%. And I spoke about yesterday that I believe that a lot more all-time highs are going to be hit. I don't think they're going to be as aggressive as this, but I think we can have a $500 possible Solana if they behave and everything behaves. I do believe it. I do think so. I still think there's a 10K ETH. I still think there's $100,000, $200,000 Bitcoin. And what does that mean for these entries? So again, you need to look at this current big red market. And I'm going to go through exactly the charts now. But you've got to look at this redness over here. And you've got to fix your damn portfolio. You got to get all those entries down. And I'll say it again. You've got 20 crap entries. Get rid of 10, 15 of them and get 5 or 10 really good ones. And that's the way you need to play this game. If you don't have more money to put in, you have to be smart when it comes to the farming. Now, let's quickly go through the charts and let's go through some of the alts so we can see what's happening over here. So if you zoom in quickly, you can see that ETH at the moment is currently just holding the support trend line. And you can see this huge ass gap. Okay, so we got 2 scenarios in ETH here. What I want you to do is this current red wave we did here on a lot of the coins. You can do them on your altcoins. You take a Fibonacci from the top to the bottom over here. And if we bounce, good CPI, something happens, all these sort of things, amazing. We have to break these trends and these highs. We have to. If we get to the top over here and your RSIs on your 4-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour get to the top and we have not broken that level, you have the opportunity to get into dollars, put your stop loss over here. What is a stop loss? You can put a stop loss on the buying side, guys, in your exchanges, which means your dollars. So you can actually buy higher. Why would you ever do that? Is a break of trend. So it means you can climb into dollars, get out of your Ethereum, climb into dollars and put a stop loss at $2,000 on Ethereum. And what that basically means is all of a sudden market turns incredibly bullish. It breaks the trend. It will buy you back in so you don't lose Ethereum. And that's the main thing. You're trying to protect your Ethereum. So it works the exact same way around. But as I see things stand here, we push to the upside, we lose the trend, and ETH goes all the way back down to 1,600. I'm still saying again, we can lose this trend. If we lose this trend, you have ETH going back to $1,000. What does that mean for you? If you got out of the 1,900, it means you're farming 45% more Ethereum, which means if you bought Ethereum at $4,000 and you farmed another 40%, you've brought your entry all the way down to $1,900. You did that just by making a smart decision. There's another scenario where we do lose this trend right now. We come down, we retest, and this is the time to farm them. So you have up to 20 to 25% to farm within Ethereum. Okay. We go through the rest of them. This is where it gets quite scary with the tokens. Let's look at one as in Near Protocol. Okay. Which hasn't been showing strength. Now, guys, I bought Near at 2.4. That's where I bought. That's my average buying on Near. Okay. Because I told you guys, I'm here, I'm buying. It didn't play out the way I wanted it to. So now what I want to do is I need to fix my damn entry because I'm sitting at 2.4 and now it's just getting cheaper. So if we bounce over here, which I'm thinking we're going to bounce pretty soon, we see how things go. Once we bounce up here and we retest, I'm looking at us retesting the loss of trend and coming down to the lower levels. Now I have the first scenario here, which is the 1.2. If that plays out, 40% more near. What does that do for my 2.4 entry? It brings it all the way down to 1.9 to $2. Okay. We even have the next scenario where this can go down to 80 cents. If that plays out, I bring my entry all the way down to 1.7. So any of my tokens that have terrible entries, I'm using this little push up here. And let me explain to you how it's going to work. On the 12-hour, I'm marking this play out over here. And what's going to happen is you'll bounce and you'll start to form this little push to this resistance. And what you're going to have is a trend line here. And if we get to the top over here, RSIs, let's bring up the RSI. RSI is at the top. So we're getting to the overbought territory and we break that trend to the downside. That is my cue. And my stop loss is over here. From that, I keep that major trend in. And as long as we stay in that trend, we come to the downside. I am farming tokens. And who knows, this may even go to 40 cents. And if that happens, my entry price that was here just comes down with it as it goes. What does that mean again? I'll remove this quickly and I jump to the weekly. What does this mean for the future? Look at Near. It means if I can get my entry prices anywhere around the 1.5, what does it mean when it goes to $6? What does it mean if it goes to $10? What does it mean if it goes to $15? What happens if it goes to $20? Now, remember why we get into multiple coins is because maybe some of them don't perform so much in the next bull market, but one or two of them will. And you saw what Render did, and I'll bring up Render in a sec. But now you start to understand the power. Now, if I go back and I show you the next two quickly, something as in AVAX, look at that. AVAX lost the daily trend, guys. It's lost the trend. So for me, 26 to 30% on AVAX if we don't get new lows. That's if Bitcoin bounces at 22, 23. And guys, Only once we've lost that low for Bitcoin do these play out, or the lower high. So by tomorrow, we'll see again where we're basically at. But we need to prep for this. We need to, because the market's starting to get to that sad phase. Like it's getting to a phase where the hope is starting to go out. And who's buying? I think that's a big question. Who's going to buy right now? And we know how this basically happens. So this is where the huge farming opportunity comes into play. Now, guys, who listened to me on 𝗕𝗚𝗃? I told you guys, don't fall into it. Don't fall into it. Don't fall into it. Like, it's very important. I do think there will be a long at some point, but I think it's a blow off long. I think it's a long to make some money and getting out. So remember, you get this wrong, it wrecks you. But I do think there is a play coming at some point. And if you track this trend over here on the 1 hour, I think when we break that, I think there's a possibility of back to 0.0031, the 3.5 in these areas, and basically a 618 retest. So wherever 618 is, I think that's going to be a nice opportunity for you guys to actually do it. And I want to explain to you about Render. I think Render is a very powerful token in the bull market, and I think we want a really good entry. Me personally, I haven't got the best entries on Render. You can see this. Like, look at this. Weakness, 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 weakness. I need to speak about dominance, because that's an important one on what I think is happening now at the moment. But look at Render. So if you look at this now as things stand, it's starting to lose trend. And you can see it over here, starting to lose trend. Okay. What does this mean? It means you have the possibilities of coming back all the way down to these low ranges over here. So what I'm looking for is, you remember these patterns. You've got a head and shoulders. So here, you've got a head to the downside, right? If that plays out, what does that mean for me for Render? It means I have an opportunity to build another 50 to 60% more Render. If it holds the lows, it could obviously become a lot more. So wherever you need to zoom out now, and I think Render is going to be a huge one for you for the future. You could see how it really got strong. But if we get these good entries down here, again, we have resistances at $3, $4, $6, $8. We have higher levels. That obviously means a lot more for within the future. Because it grew so much, it means your farming areas are a lot bigger when it comes at these specific times. So we can come here, if not slightly lower. So now you're starting to see. So if you have Render positions, if Render does not on the 4 hour now break past these highs, just see where that is, which is basically the $2.20. It needs to pump like 25% to get through those highs. If RSIs are at the top here and this trend is doing this, it gives you that opportunity now to farm. This breaks trend, get back into dollars, put your stop loss over here and farm your Render until we break these main actual tokens. Now, I want to speak to you quickly about Bitcoin dominance, because it's being pretty weird. Let's see. But if it looks like if Bitcoin wants to dump hard, this possibly still wants to go down. But there is another scenario. Another scenario is we range. So what I did is I drew this trend line in here. And the problem is we're quite far from it. Now you have two options here. This drops hard because Bitcoin drops. Okay, if that happens, alts fall, but Bitcoin also falls really hard. Okay. Second scenario is we range to this trend line and then we drop it. I still think until we're above in 50s, I still think we can reject hard at any point. If this happens, I think the dump still happens. I think the altcoins get murdered within Bitcoin. But when there's a huge ass bounce, wherever support is, dominance comes down and the altcoins bounce hard. Now, remember the last times that we've had alt seasons or alt runs. When did they ever come? They came after a huge Bitcoin dump. Because that's what happened in May, right? The 2021, we had that May crash. After the May crash, ETH went to all-time highs. Everything went to all-time highs. Like everything went absolutely crazy over there. So this is interesting, guys, to see how this plays out. So don't be surprised if the altcoins do get murdered. Okay, but it means the bounce is going to be pretty large with them, because we might have the rejection of dominance when it comes to the actual bounce. So guys, I want you to take, again, focus these days right now and focus on your entry prices, because again, it's going to come at any moment and these things are all going to be 50 to 100% up again. And you're sitting there, oh, why did I not take advantage? If you don't have money, use the farming strategy. Understand how to use the stop loss on the dollars. If you have money, fix your damn entries. If you have 20 bad entries, make 5 of them really, really, really good. And again, stop asking when are you ready for when it basically happens. Guys, remember, we have the trading competition. So if you have a look below in the description, you can join the ByBit competition. We have Tesla for grabs. We've got Rolex. If the market goes to the downside, I want to remind you that these are areas that you build. The gaps is where you make the money. So if this is a coin, you're tracking here, and you know that if we lose here, that's where I'm going to make the money. So you prep your shorts. If we lose this area, you're short. If we break the top, you look at where the gap is, you're long. use these gaps to make the money. And it's a great time for you to really test yourself. Doesn't matter which way the market goes. I need to be ready for it. And then the next thing, we have gold possibly approaching a buy zone within the next few days. So we have a Prime XBT account getting ready to launch for trades. So if you have a look below in the description, you can sign up with them. We can trade crypto to gold, which is a big one, which I think if we go into depression, it might be a really big trade to be doing. So set your accounts up. We've got fantastic tutorials coming up on them. And that might be one of the plays. Maybe we're trading gold for a little while. Let's see how that actually goes. And then follow my personal channel. It's coming back to life. Sheldon the Sniper. Follow that on YouTube. Have a fantastic day. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the education. And I'll see you all on tomorrow's show. Much love, Banter fam.